Hello, I'm technology strategist and futurist Crystal Washington.
And I'm Karen McCullough, and I get people excited about change and working with millennials. Today, we want you to rethink it forward.
And by rethinking it forward, what we mean is the fact that there are things that have worked for you in the past that are not going to work for you in the future. And if we're to be really honest, they're probably not working for you right now anymore either.
No. So today, Crystal, we're going to talk about tips on conference calls and Zoom calls. Yeah, you're the expert on this.
Well, yes, but I think we should open with probably a story because I'm going to get into all the techie stuff. But
I have one.
Yeah, let's go. Let's start off with a story.
Well, I do a lot of Zoom calls, so I have stories, but nothing is as funny as this one. I got a call the other day from a really good friend of mine who works for a university here in Houston, and they're the video department of this, and they're all millennials. He's a Gen Xer. He's not the manager. He's just head of the team. And then they have a manager. And so they're all working from home, and they had their first Zoom call, and he called me hysterical. He said, first of all, he'd never seen 20 people on a Zoom screen before. You know, it looks like the Brady Bunch, only everybody's there. But he started telling me about what he saw, and he cracked me up. These are very, very creative. So these are creatives. And he said one guy who is brand new to the team, brand new, he has like platinum blonde hair. He has a very spiky, very white, that white blonde hair. And he said his computer was set up in his living room or his dining room. Whatever room it was black. The whole room was black, and he had a light on. He was wearing a tank top, a low-cut for a guy tank top, and shorts. And Mike told me that he had the computer set right down in between his legs. It was bad. And Mike kept looking, and he said it was very distracting. And the CEO is panicking, and he's calling the manager. He's calling her on the phone. And she had to stop the call, and she had to call him and tell him to go dress appropriately. So what we're seeing right now is too much information. Too much information. There needs to be some rules, right, on how to have a Zoom call or a conference call. So I thought you were the expert. Give us some guidelines, Crystal.
Okay, so rule number one, wear the clothes you would normally wear to work. So like right now, I know, right now we're in our pajamas to show you what not to do. So I'm going to take off my pajamas and be back in my normal clothes. But,
I have on.
Okay.
You don't want to see what's under here.
Oh, wrong kind of show. So make sure that you're wearing something that you would wear to the office. So I'll give you an example. You know, my nephew is 8 years old. They just started these remote digital classes as these school districts trying to pull it together to make sure the kids are being educated every single day. And so he's going through his classes via webinar for each different segment. And I think he has, even though he's 8 years old, there's 7 of them. He even has PE on Zoom now. True story. But he has to wear his uniform every single day or it counts against him. So
I love that.
Yeah. So if an 8-year-old child can have the wherewithal to get themselves together and dress a certain way according to standards, we can do the same thing.
Right.
So the way you
no
would.
more tank tops.
No, or just make sure you're wearing what you would normally wear to work, whatever that looks like.
I like that.
After that, we talk about dress. Here's another one, okay? Before you get on that call, I need you to look around you, okay? See what's in the environment. Because there are people getting on conference calls right now. I've seen this myself, where there's brassieres in the background.
Oh, Crystal.
Or underoos, truths. I've seen these things, okay? Make sure that you look around you and you see what's there, okay? Make sure that you don't have cats and dogs and babies climbing everywhere. Make sure that to the best of your ability, you set it up as if you are in an office and this is a professional environment, right? So outside of dress and environment, let's talk about tech, okay? First thing you need is a decent computer. If your computer is ancient, good luck getting it to work when it comes to any type of conference software, whether it's WebEx, whether it's GoToMeeting, Webinar, whether it's Zoom, whatever it is. If you have an ancient computer, you're already set up for fail, number one.
Right.
Number two, make sure that you have a decent camera. So for some of us, you might have a PC that's a decent PC, but the camera isn't that great. And so you might have to order one that plugs into the USB drive. So like right now, you're actually not seeing me through the camera that's on my laptop. It's a Logitech that clips onto it. For some of you, maybe when it comes to expenses, because we have had past episodes where we talk about saving expenses, you might want to use your smart devices, your iPhone, your iPad, your Samsung. Some of them have much better cameras than PCs. Actually, most of them do, actually. And so if you're going to use that, make sure you have it set up on a tripod or some type of stand so that it's at the right level. What you don't want to do is have it set up on a table facing up.
Right.
People see up your nose. That's weird.
I've seen that on so many calls. It's gross.
Yeah, and plus no one wants to see our under chins, okay?
Right.
None of our chins look good from that angle. I don't care what shape you're in, okay? So get it so that it's high enough where people can see you. I don't care if you have to stack books to get it where you need it, but make sure it's at a good level, okay? Outside of that, you want a good microphone. So whether that's, your earbuds, whether that's plugged in there, whether it's into your laptop, whatever it is, make sure you have something that's going to get rid of all that ambient noise and the other things going on around you. If you have a barking dog, people don't want to hear Fido, okay? Like people might say, oh, look, it's Fido. I assure you, most of them are being nice. That's their nice way of saying, will you, shut your dog up, okay? So make sure that you're canceling out as much noise as possible. And then also make sure that you have a good internet connection. We already talked about the home office on a past episode. And so wired tends to be better, but whatever you're using, wired or Wi-Fi, make sure that you have a good, strong internet connection. And then lastly, I'll just give you just one big piece of etiquette before Karen kind of gives some more tips as well. Mute yourself when you're not talking. Yeah, always mute yourself when you're not talking, because no matter what, there's always people that don't realize how much noise is going on behind them. Maybe they answer a phone call, they forget they're on the call. Now they're talking. You don't want to be that person. Speaking of forgetting, actually, I'll give a bonus one for you. I usually do not do conference calls, Karen. I'll share this with you, except for at my laptop. I don't actually like to do them on a smart device, a mobile device. The reason why is it's too easy to forget that you're actually on a conference call. So there's this video circulating right now of a Zoom of this woman named Poor Jen, who was on a business conference call, who went potty, forgot her camera was on.
You always have the greatest stories.
Sure. Well, they can look this up. You can find this yourself. I'm not making this one up. It's circulating. And when people on the call start saying, oh my gosh, poor Jen, oh no, she realizes what's happening, and you see the phone like tumbles, like she slapped it, right? But you've already seen her on the potty, right? So if you're absent-minded, maybe stay to a PC, because you're not going to go potty in front of your PC.
Think if you were Jen's manager and you had to give her a call. This is what's going on right now. It's an entirely different environment. We are putting managers and leaders and directors under so much pressure, because now they have to manage a totally different environment. So, when you're on a call, like we're on a Zoom call right now, when you're on a call, there's a host. Many times the host is not the manager. The host can give instructions. So when the call comes on, or when the Zoom comes on, he can say, or she can say, everyone, please, we can start being courteous by muting your microphone. And if you want to speak, raise your hand. There's a little hand raise thing on Zoom. We can begin to do it that way. The challenge is, there are many people right now who are pretty extroverted and like talking, and they overtake the entire conference. And so we've got to really be careful as hosts and as managers to give other people a chance to talk. And introverts, this is a good chance for them to hide out. Like they can go, man, I'm going the whole day without saying anything. So there's an added, there's an added extra piece to managing right now. And that piece is etiquette. It's also, how are we going to communicate? How are we going to control the communication? And how are we going to keep everybody engaged? It's really easy to look over at your phone. It's really easy to pretend you're looking there, and pretty soon you're reading something. So we're going to have to keep them engaged. So this is going to be totally new skills, and we're all going to have to work on it.
Well, and I think part of keeping them engaged, Karen, is making sure that we set up these conference calls or these webinars correctly. So you talked about at the beginning about setting standards about muting yourself, but also maybe even saying, so we have 45 minutes for this meeting. We have a lot of things we're going to cover. So what we're going to do today to make sure that everyone has a chance to share very valuable information is I'm going to start off muting everybody. And then as I go through certain points, I'm going to call on the individual departments responsible, and I'm going to ask you to keep your answers brief at 60 seconds or beneath. That way we have enough time for everybody. And if I cut you off, I'm not being rude. I'm just making sure we have time. So already letting them know you're willing to cut them off,
Right.
usually ensures you don't have to cut them off because it'll
I
make
like
them
that.
keep it brief. And then you could say, and at the very end, we're going to open it up for general discussion. So then that's when your chatty Cathys get a chance to say everything they wanted to say, but it's at the very end and its time's almost up anyway. So I think that's a big piece of it, not being afraid to really manage things.
Right. And the last piece on engagement, they're in Zoom, there are breakout rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So use the breakout rooms, get people to talk to each other, get them comfortable with the technology and comfortable. They're going to feel like they've accomplished something if they have a good Zoom call. So people are, this could be a very, very inspiring, very motivational part of your meeting if you can get them to talk to each other.
Well, and then just making sure that everybody has fun. Karen, you talked about getting to talk to each other. Don't be afraid to be a little silly. Being professional does not mean being void of personality, right? I think one of the cutest examples I heard of recently is a friend actually came onto a conference call. He had someone introduce him. So the screen, it wasn't sharing a screen yet. So they're like, oh, and our next person that's going to be talking is, and then when his screen turned on, he was spraying Lysol. So it looked like smoke. And then he slid in front of it on his chair. And people cracked up laughing. So we can make this fun, and in fact, I'd say that, when you are speaking to someone through a computer, you have to project more energy to keep them excited.
You have to, open your eyes, give them a look. Yeah, you really have to do things to keep the game going. Yeah.
So make it as fun as possible. Don't be afraid to be a little silly, professional silly, but don't be afraid to be a little professional silly and just have fun because we're all in this thing together. This is, while for some of you, this isn't new, the level with which we're all doing this type of communication is new for all of us. And so as long as we're in this together, let's make it fun and let's make sure that we're enjoying our time together.
Don't wear your pajamas. I'm going to go change. I'll see you guys later.